Black people don't want to win, they just want attention. This here is Ngozi Fulani. Now, if you're not familiar with who she is, she's somebody in the middle of a race row as we speak. It says Ngozi Fulani faces online abuse after a race row. So, what is the story of Ngozi Fulani? The story is Ngozi Fulani runs a charity for abused women and girls called Sister Space. And that Sister Space has an inference on, I'm assuming, Black women and girls, the cross sectional intersection between, abuse of women and being Black and all of those things surrounding Black women and abuse. Let's just put it that way. And she was invited to an event at Buckingham Palace. So I'm going to bring up this tweet here from the royal family. And this is a tweet in regards to the event that Ngozi attended. He said, "Today, a remarkable group of people gathered at Buckingham Palace with one aim, to see the end of violence against women and girls. I was deeply moved and inspired by their stories. With determination and courage, we will see the end of these heinous crimes forever. Camilla R." So this is the invitation to this event that Ngozi attended. So when she went there, she was met by a person called Lady Hussey. Yes, that is her name. So again, let's bring the picture up of Lady Hussey and remind ourselves who she is and what she looks like. So she is Lady Hussey. She is one of the aides for the royal family. She was doing a meet and greet on the day, meeting and greeting the attendees of this event hosted in support of abuse for women and girls. And so this is a conversation that took place between these two women. Now, if you notice here, Ngozi is dressed in, I guess, what she believes is African attire, right? I don't know what tribe or what country or what she's representing, but I believe that she believes that this is some form of African attire. So bear this in mind when you hear the conversation. So let's pull up the conversation between the two of them. Here is a transcript. Now, this transcript is according to Ngozi what happened. All right. It hasn't been verified by other parties, but it hasn't been denied either. So, this is the retelling of the conversation from Ngozi. Now, Ngozi claimed that she tried to keep Lady Hussey's identity anonymous. However, she did title every sentence that she claimed came from her as Lady SH. It is blurred out here on this picture, but in the original transcript, it's not. But that's another story. So, here's the conversation according to Ngozi. Lady Hussey, where are you from? Ngozi, Sister Space. Lady Hussey, no, where do you come from? Ngozi, we're based in Hackney. Lady Hussey, no, what part of Africa are you from? Ngozi, I don't know. They didn't leave any records. Lady Hussey, well, you must know where you're from. I spent time in France. Where are you from? Ngozi, here, UK. Lady Hussey, no, but what nationality are you? Ngozi, I'm born and bred. I am born here and I'm British. Lady Hussey, no, but where do you really come from? Where do your people come from? Ngozi, my people? Lady, what is this? Lady Hussey, oh, I see I'm going to have a challenge getting you to say where you're from. When when did you first come here? Ngozi, lady, I am a British national. My parents came here in the 50s when Lady Hussey, oh, I knew we'd get there in the end. You're Caribbean. Ngozi, no lady, I'm of African heritage, Caribbean descent, and British nationality. Lady Hussey, oh, so you're from, and then the conversation ends. Now, if you're not aware, there's a big uproar and outrage about this whole incident. Ngozi is currently on a tour claiming that she was abused and that this conversation was racist. and Lazy Hussey has been fired from her position um, because of this conversation or this interaction. Now, my thing is this, right? Ngozi was invited to this event in a professional capacity. If you go in a professional capacity as the CEO of your charity, you're supposed to go there in that capacity as the CEO of the charity in a professional capacity. Lots of capacities, right? So my conjecture would be that Ngozi didn't go there with that intent, right? Let's go and look at this picture taken from the event, right? And we can see a picture of all of the people that were invited at this event. And I'm going to assume that all of these people were working in some form of charity or organization in support of the abuse of, or in support of the reduction of the abuse of women and girls, right? And if you look at everybody here is dressed in some kind of business attire, but it's kind of like, playful, colorful business attire, almost casual business attire, right? If you don't know, here's a picture of Lady Camilla Parker Bowles. She's actually the queen, or she's not even a lady no more. I think she's queen consort, as they call her, right? And she's the one that invited everybody here. And even if you look at how she's dressed quite formally. It's some form of blazer, but it's kind of playful and flash fashionable, right? We can see that they got like a free edge. And if you look at most of the women there, they're wearing some kind of blouse in some kind of formal-ish kind of capacity, but it might have some, pattern design or bright colors. We see this woman here by the cut of this thing. It looks like it's a blazer, but it might be some form of like knitted or printed blazer. We have a woman here in a suit with a blazer and a skirt, another blazer and a skirt. This one's in purple. We even have somebody here that appears to be in some kind of traditional dress, but it still seems to be quite formal. So everybody here, even we have men in the background in suits. This woman here, I don't know if it's a top or if it's some kind of waistcoat, but all of these people are dressed kind of formally. Then we get to Ngozi, and then we can see here that she is the only one that has chosen not to come in a professional capacity. She's decided to come in some kind of personal representation, representing her personal heritage, right? So immediately you can see that she stands out, and she not only stands out, she stands out and she's trying to make some kind of message. Now this is the other thing, right? To me it appears like she's gone to Buckingham Palace with the intent to make some kind of rebellious message or statement, possibly in terms of, the royal family's involvement maybe in slavery, or maybe in the oppression of black people throughout history. Whatever it is, it appears that she's gone there purposely dressed in what she would call some kind of African dress in order to make a statement going to this place, right? So this is this the second thing. Not only is it not professional that she's to how she's dressed and presented herself, but she's also gone there with sort of like a personal agenda, what it appears to be, for her going to this event. So these are two things off the bat, right? So now let's go back to this conversation. We're bearing these things in mind. Let's revisit the conversation. Now, remember, Ngozi is at this event in full African attire and dress, standing out from everybody else that is in this event. So, if somebody goes to an event and purposely dresses differently and dresses in a way to stand out or separate themselves from everybody else, the inference from that is that that person is trying to make a statement or would like to have attention drawn to the fact that they are different. So when Lady Hussey comes up to her and asks, "Where are you from?" the inference is that Lady Hussey is trying to connect with this person or trying to find out more about this person's, you know, culture or the way that in which they are dressed, because it is purposely different, and it comes across as somebody who's trying to connect, right? So I could imagine that when she finds out where she's from, she probably wants to compliment the dress and say, it's a beautiful dress. Do the people from XYZ tribe or country or area all dress like this, or something to that effect? So when she says, "Where are you from, Sister Space?" Lady Hussey thinks that the question is being misunderstood. So she said, no, where do you come from? So again, Ngozi said, we're based in Hackney. Now, I think already by this point, she understands what the question is being asked. But if there's any doubt, Lady Hussey goes on to clarify, no, what part of Africa, again, she's presented herself in African dress. So, what part of Africa are you from? So, it's very clear what the question is. Then Ngozi goes on to say, I don't know, they didn't leave any records. Now, this is a very cheeky answer. And, you know, you can tell at this point, you knew what the question is being asked, but you're being evasive and you're being deceptive, right? So we go on to say, where you from, France. And so then she goes on to say, no, what nationality are you? So we're still trying to get to this idea. So this is interesting. What nationality are you? And she said, I am born here and am British, right? So Ngozi comes out and says she is British, but yet the way you present yourself is as an African, right? You're wearing African dress. If you're British, why are you not presenting yourself as British? If you think you're African and you're wearing African dress and you're giving yourself the name Ngozi, which isn't her real name is Marlene, then why, when she asks you, where are you from, why do you not say Africa? Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is again a whole other conflict between identity and who you are. You don't really know who you are yourself. You're going there saying you're British, but you're trying to appear as if you're African. Again, this is a conversation for another day. If we roll on, when she finally gets to it, she says, I'm a British national. My parents came here in the 50s when, and he said, oh, I knew we'd get there in the end. You're Caribbean. So he said, no, lady, I'm of African heritage, Caribbean descent, and British nationality. So this is even more confusing, right? So she's asked, she said, you're Caribbean, right? But then she goes around to say that no, and she goes and says no, and then lists Caribbean descent. So she's trying to be all three of these things at the same time, but yet be none of them. Her real name was Marlene, and she's clearly Caribbean. But when she said that it's put to her that you're Caribbean, she turns around and says no. So she doesn't identify as the Caribbean, the whole Caribbean experience. Yet she goes on and says she's from Caribbean descent. She's dressed as African, but when she's asked, she says she's British. So this is a whole area of confusion in itself, right? So again, this whole situation has taken place. Lady Hussey has gotten fired, and Ngozi's gone on a tour claiming that she was racially abused and now she's a victim of abuse, which is very ironic, especially from somebody who runs a charity for the abuse of women and girls. Now, somebody that's been in that charity, she must see the most horrific of cases. So for now, you to compare yourself as somebody who's also abuse victim now because you had this exchange, seems a bit, facetious to me and a bit undermining of the experiences of those people that you are working with, right? And then so my whole thing is this, and which is why I named the topic of this conversation, um, black people don't want to win, they want attention, right? Because if you're there invited to Buckingham Palace as the CEO of a charity, you're in a room with a lot of powerful people and people that could either help you financially or even just with some kind of support or even an endorsement. But instead of going there in the capacity as the CEO of her charity and trying to do what is the best for her company, she has appeared to gone there with the intent of getting something out of it for herself, whether it's to make a statement with her African appearance, or what we eventually see is, be this victim of this conversation and go around in this whole tour. So my question would be to you, the listener, wouldn't it not have been better for her to, gone there and use this opportunity to promote her charity rather than as an opportunity to promote herself? Right? Do we think that, it was a wasted opportunity to now, upset the people of Buckingham Palace, with this whole outburst and, probably deny any chance of her getting any kind of support from the people of Buckingham Palace? You know, what she's done not only has affected her charity, but it's also affected probably, other black people that will go to Buckingham Palace in the future. They'll probably think that black people are troublemakers. They'll probably be less likely to try and engage in anyone's culture by asking any questions about this culture. And the question I have as well is, would it have been wrong? Let's say, for instance, she did believe that she was racially abused. Would it have been wrong for her to keep her mouth closed in order to benefit her charity? You know, would it be classed as selling out? Is selling out an okay thing to do if it's for the benefit of more people than yourself? Would it have been okay to lose the battle in this racism, but yet win the war for your charity? Do you think that Ngozi overreacted in this whole situation? Do you think that, Lady Hussey was in the wrong? What are your thoughts on this situation? Was this a racist situation? Let me know. Put your comments in the comment section, and I'll be there to respond to whatever your questions are, or your comments and your ideas, because there seems to be quite a bit of a divide on this whole subject. And my conjecture is this, generally as black people, we prefer to get the attention for something than to win. The whole idea of the field Negro and the house Negro was a fantastic idea, right? When you think about it, there are many people who would prefer to forsake an opportunity to leave the plantation in order to get promoted into the big house and become a house Negro. And we have lots of examples of this. And I perceive this to be one of those examples. Here we have an example where Ngozi could have used this opportunity to better herself and the people around her, yet she forsook that opportunity in order to get some personal attention for herself. But I don't know, maybe I'm off. Let me know with your comments in the description box.